metal to prevent the water flow
So
too.
if he's blocking water from leaving your yard to get into that drain, civilly we can deal with that, and I can have that conversation with him.
Okay, well, you have that
Which
conversation.
I have no problem doing.
And then I guess the attorney, how long do you think, I know you're probably new to this whole situation here. How long do you think you need to take a look at it?
Well, I just found out the address, so I'll
Right.
take a look, I'll talk to Matt, I'll look at the aerials. I won't know anything about what is where until I see a survey,
Right.
or at least what we have as far as prior site plan approved drawings, but a couple of weeks
Okay,
All right.
to try and get up to speed.
nice, fair. Good enough then. Good.
Thank you for your
All right,
time. I
thank you.
appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. And we'll be back.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay, thank you.
We're now live streaming. Everything is on YouTube.
Okay, we're gonna bring our work session meeting open. Anne Marie, I know you're back there somewhere. So we do have a guest speaker. Where'd she go? Anne Marie, you back there? There you go. Just go here, back on the microphone. And just give you, I don't know what's your name and address so the clerk can record it properly.
Sure. Hi, my name is Anne-Marie Tamrowski. I am actually a village resident. I live at 31 Livingston Street in Lancaster, right in the village. I represent AT&T FirstNet. AT&T FirstNet is a private-public partnership between the commercial company of AT&T and the federal government to provide dedicated wireless services to public safety and the first responder community. So basically, in a nutshell, it's dedicated wireless access for voice and data for all public safety, all first responders who are on our network and using like our cell phones, so they get priority over the network in the event of an emergency, planned, unplanned events, or incidences. The reason why I'm here today was to really just share what we're doing in the community from a FirstNet perspective. We're already in the hands of a lot of the first responders in Erie County and in the area, Cheektowaga, Depew, and whatnot. A lot of police officers have FirstNet already on their own that they pay individually for. We also support agency missions when it comes to providing phones and data connectivity. So a lot of agencies don't realize that that's available to them at the town and municipality level. So even though FirstNet is dedicated for public safety and first responders, we've extended that eligibility to all towns, municipalities, and all their departments. So some towns and municipalities provide wireless services to public works, water, sewer, all those things, and Parks and Rec, and we can be that provider if you ever to go and take a look at it from an RFP perspective. Also, in addition, we've extended that eligibility to individual town employees. So when they're visiting AT&T already, they're already going to our stores and they're asking about this FirstNet and Family program. It is available to them, but as part of the federal government who manages this whole project, it's called the FirstNet Authority, there has to be some guidelines in place for the employees to come in and get that service, and it's done at the administrative level. So for example, if you have a town employee coming in and saying, I work for the town or the village and I work in highway, I know I can get FirstNet, my friends have it, whatnot, I'm also a volunteer firefighter, how can I get that service? Because it's meant for public safety and first responders, they still get that dedicated access, that particular user, it's one particular user. They can still have that connectivity just like police and fire do at all times. But at the store level, we have to determine their eligibility to ensure that they currently are indeed a town employee. We typically work with an admin, whoever that may be, could be anybody that the town nominates, and set them up in a portal where anybody that goes in and says, I work for the town, I'm getting service, an email gets sent to that person just basically verifying they're a town employee. That way they can get their service and their discounts, so they can get that, and they also get a discount for their family members as well. That is pretty much it at a very, very high level. I know I'm limited on time, but do you have any questions? Are you familiar with FirstNet?
I have.
Okay.
So explain, because of dead zones and whatnot. I was coming back from Bath, New York today, 20A in between, and I lose cell service.
What part? I'm actually heading that way down tomorrow.
So, like French Road, 28, down Clinton, between 28 and Clinton, out like,
Bennington and Wyoming
Bennington,
County.
yeah, Bennington, Wyoming County,
It's a
Okay.
dead zone Verizon too.
that way. So, because I know FirstNet,
Bennington.
with that, we're not really supposed to drop off in areas.
Well, it depends on where the towers are. So the tower, the footprint is the same as AT&T's network. The difference between the FirstNet and AT&T network is that there's proprietary spectrum at most, not all of the cell sites, called band 14. So in this rural areas, we're on a mission to include band 14 in that tower, in those towers. That might be what you're experiencing,
Okay.
is your phone is looking for that band and it's not at that tower and it could drop. But I can give you my business card, feel free, and you can reach out to me, because that's the feedback I need to take to our engineering team to be able to improve the network where there is disparity. Since 2020, we have built out over 400 cell sites just in upstate alone, which may not sound like a lot, but it's actually been very monumental in the progress that we made, because the government is holding us accountable to improving that network. So I'm going down to Bath tomorrow.
Yeah,
and-
so if you're going down the, you're gonna take, what, Clinton to 20A?
Yeah.
Right when you turn, and have you been there before?
No, I haven't.
Have you? Okay, never mind.
No, it's my first time.
They took away the barn and I kept going straight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so today.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
But since it's government, can you get better service on your base too?
At where?
Air Force Base in Niagara Falls.
Oh, yeah, that's.
I don't have really good, that's a side note, sorry.
Yeah, in those
It's right
areas.
in there, so see if you get it.
Yeah, and also too, in the areas that the signal might not be strong, whether it's like in a building, like here, my service is fine. But specifically like in police departments, fire halls and whatnot, we're providing free boosters into those areas at no charge. The federal government's paying for that to improve service and whatnot in some of these areas. Because in building is tough for most carriers to begin with. So,
Do you have a card with you?
Yeah.
Because I have some questions.
I do.
I'll give you, probably easier if I give you a phone now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just learned about this a couple weeks ago.
I have a long drive, it's bad.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
Would you like a card too?
I'm good, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm all set, thank you.
I don't even get service in my house.
I do have some information, if you want, I can leave it in that table back there.
Yeah.
It's just like a pamphlet, just kind of explaining what I just already did, as well as the discounts, and then like what next steps would be if you want to get an affiliation code or the whatever to set up for the employees. A lot of times, the towns we are talking with, they brought us in because in recent events, with everything going on with summer events and carnivals and all those things, they're finding a lot of issues that they're having with their primary providers, not getting connectivity. So we've been out there supporting a lot of those in those events where we can bring our own assets, demo devices and whatnot, so there's some continuity into that, so.
What about like, sporting events? You go to a Bills game. I have a lot of friends that work in law enforcement and they work the Bills games and they always say, oh, our phones never work if the radios go down. Is that something?
On FirstNet?
Well, they don't have first time.
Okay, so at the stadium, I've already engaged my engineering team on the progress with that, because what's happening at the Bills game is, and this is with every carrier, is there's so much uses and traffic on the network that nobody can get out.
Jams it all.
It's all jammed, and so any of the first responders that are out there, we're actually working with Orchard Park Police right now to get them their police departments and whatnot, their critical mission people on FirstNet, because they need that connectivity. And that goes the same for concerts, like a Darien Lake. A real life example is the PGA Tour out in Rochester that would just happen. Nobody had any service out there, and we had to scramble all through Monroe County to get the county up and running. So we actually have adoption at the county level too, so we do work with like Erie County Central Police Services and a lot of major fire departments around here too, so, yeah.
It happens at Darien Lake too.
Yeah.
You can't get signal at all.
Yeah, we actually just put a tower up at Darien Lake last summer, I believe,
Still,
on FirstNet.
No,
Not on
First-
AT&T, yeah.
Verizon.
So here's something too. So if you have an AT&T phone, you're going to experience the same issues as anybody like a Verizon or T-Mobile phone that is experiencing issues at a game or whatever. The difference is that FirstNet, we push the commercial traffic and consumer traffic out of the way. So our priority users get first dibs. It's like lights and sirens get first dibs. It's pushing all the traffic away so they have that connectivity 24/7 by 365. There's no special code, the phone or the device automatically kicks over.
Any other questions? Chief from Emergency Services, any questions on that? All right, well, thank you for coming in.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay, so let's move on to, Matt, anything from your end?
Nothing further than our drainage report that was submitted at the beginning of the month.
Ed, engineering?
Let's see, the only thing, the senior center finally were able to work out a value engineering on the gazebo. I think, I don't give it on the agenda tonight or not, we submitted it for resolution for award to Camco with a deduct change order. Yeah. So that will work, so we can get that project moving ahead. The historical building was rebid, there was a recommendation. I know they're looking at funding options right now, so that's pending. The Historical Society grant, county grant, we've got the schoolhouse and the opera house. The schoolhouse, all the contracts are executed, it's off and running. I just got an email today from Karen, HVAC's gonna be there tomorrow starting their work. And she has one more project she wants to add, which is a bathroom remodel for $1,500. And there's still money under the grant, so we should be able to add that next meeting.
I didn't get it on for tonight.
No, that's fine. Next meeting is fine. Regarding the Opera House, the HVAC, the grant is $293,500. When we went out to bid, it came back in at $399. So we scrambled and brought in a couple alternatives. We've got one finally that came in, combined is going to be $323,500. So it's about $40,000 over the grant versus $100,000 over the grant. So the question is, if the board's okay, there is money in the town hall improvement bond capital project that could be used for that additional 40 grand, I think, if we want to, and if that's okay, I'll put that resolution forward for next meeting. And I will, if it's okay, I will also give the company a verbal, because the unit that you have to have, there's one available in the state, and they want to be able to at least get their fingers on it before it disappears. So if I give them a verbal, they can at least put an order onto it so it doesn't go away before the next meeting. If that's okay.
I have no problem with it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we're facing material costs.
Yeah, material and supply of the materials.
Yep.
What is the Siebert Road culvert? We're around on that. We got the grant. And, as we figured, as soon as we made a decision, the grant would come in, and it did. So that's moving forward. So now with the grant, we're waiting for DOT paperwork to show up and get that process moving. Town hall soffits, the design's almost done, so we'll get that out to bid. And the windows, we have bids for the windows, but they're now going to be part of the New York Forward package in total. So we're probably going to wait and, see where that money comes out of the New York Forward grant, because the bids came in at about, between this building and next door combined, at about $800,000. I encourage you to wait for the grant.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. And do we have a date, like approximately when that Siebert Road's gonna be open? I mean, I know it's,
At this point, sometime fall of 2024, probably.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think with the grant, we're delaying it.
Yeah, because we got reports, we got hoops we got to jump through with DOT, which was the trade-off. for the money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's $800,000.
it's $800,000. So, that's all I got.
Okay. Anything from the clerk's office?
Yes, I closed out the town and county taxes. All the money has been dispersed. I have no money in my accounts, and we balanced to a penny. And the day after I made the final disbursements, I got paperwork from the county that we're starting to get ready for school tax collection. So, that's it.
All right along.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Attorney's office?
Yeah.
The suspended resolution, I thought Mark was going to be taking care of
Yeah,
this one.
The blues?
Yeah, this has my name on
That's what I
it.
thought.
Oh, I apologize, you called me and asked me to put it on, so that's.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Should be going.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. I have update for dog control. For dog control.
Okay.
So, thank you to Chief Gummo for his support, as well as Officer Major. Officer Major sent me in a updated report. We did let go one part-time assistant dog control officer and hired 2 very qualified part-time assistant dog control officers. The work ethic on the job performance of the 2 new assistant dog control officers thus far has exceeded expectations. Working with the Parks Crew Chief Bruce Stutz and the town engineer Ed Schiller, the department has implemented improved sanitation and ventilation techniques, which has helped mitigate the issue of the odor in the kennel area. Bruce Stutz has ordered signage to help members of the public find the dog control in the town municipal campus. They closed gaps in the fence in the dog run area behind dog control and ordered warning signs to post on the fencing. Additionally, Crew Chief Stutz has made his personnel available to help clean the dog kennel areas and feed the dogs as needed to help us fill staffing gaps. And thank you, Bruce, and to all the rec department staff for stepping up and helping this transition run smoothly. Wishes to note that Crew Chief Stutz has been a tremendous help to the dog control department during his transition period. His dedication to helping others and improving our community is unmatched. The department responded to completed reports on approximately 39 calls for service. The dog control took in 10 dogs this month via seizure, surrender pursuant to calls for service. 5 dogs were redeemed by their owners and 3 dogs were adopted. The adoption policy program was put in place with the help and approval of Tom Fowler, and the dog control department has 3 dogs were adopted since the policy, and 2 more are in custody and pending adoption. So thank you very much to everyone for your help.
So we don't have to put a fan in there at this point, based on?
Nope.
Great. Okay.
There was drainage issues.
More than, okay.
John, anything from Highway?
Yeah, real quick. Highway Department, still picking up brush. There's a lot out there. 2 grapplers. Currently, we're working diligently on the Stony Brook subdivision, repairing DIs and replacing DIs. We're starting our milling and paving in that subdivision end of the month. We'll be paving in beginning of August. So a lot of our efforts have been focused in there for the next couple of weeks, and so we're ready to rock and roll for paving. Other than that, still working on drainage and roadside ditching and mowing grass and all that fun stuff.
Dealing with the customer complaints.
Yes. Thanks.
John, anything from the Youth Bureau?
We're going full steam ahead with all of our summer programs. The building is back up and running without any problems. All is going well. Our summer theater performances are going to be held at PQ High School this year for both of the productions. The town board will be receiving an invitation to those productions within the week. And we invite you to come and stop by to see the summer classes that are going on 9 to 12. Monday through Thursday, there will be an art show on Friday, August 11th. You're welcome to come and see what's going on at the Youth Bureau this summer. All is going well.
Thank you. Bruce? Recreation?
Thanks, Mark, for all the kind words there. So with dog control, a couple of adoptions came back. There are a fair amount of dogs that now we're in the shed. So we're actually working on fixing the AC. We seem to be a little AC challenged on some of our properties. So we're addressing that. So continue to help out Chief Gummo and Eric. It's been going really well with that. Appreciate your support. We have resolution number 8, part-time employees. So that kept our programs up and rolling. That'll be voted on today. And also resolution 16 with the police. We'll be looking for your support for sealing and striping. Hopefully, if it's approved, it'll be within the next month. We'll get the police department all sealed and striped and looking sharp. Also with the brickyard, we did hit our 7-5 date. We did. We were scratching and clawing and getting it done, but we had games. We said 7-5 and we did it. So we're still probably a year away from where we really want it. But we've been working with that on the design in his firm. So we're looking at maybe a month that we might be able to go to bid with the netting backstop and the dugouts and the redesign of the field. And we're pushing, like we mentioned before, we're pushing everything forward. So feedback's been good. Like I said, it's not perfect, but we're playable, and we're going to shut down around October 1st and hopefully start the project shortly after that.
Bruce, are you limiting play on that field to let it mature more?
We're keeping the grass a little higher, so some of the negative feedback's been just the grass a little higher, but we can't afford to lose that grass. So we've kept it higher. That's really the only negative. Everything from the infield, even with John's guidance. Infield, the outfield's playing great, a little high around the fringes, and we're still letting the hydro seed germinate. So we're not cutting, so anything negative has just been for the benefit of the field, for long term. We don't want to sacrifice the long term for the short term. We started our interviews for the internal candidates. We have one labor position. We're going to get the board members for the recreation side involved with that, for sure on the externals. Then when we go to the second round, we'll get Bob and Dave and Ron involved with that. So, any questions for me? I appreciate all your support. I think I've contacted everybody here multiple times since last meeting, and I appreciate your support. Feel free if there's anything that's challenged, or send me out there. We'll take care of it. All right.
Thank you. Good.
Thank you.
Chief, anything from your department?
I've got a few things to bring to you tonight. Start off with bringing forward 2 very fine candidates that we believe are going to be the best positions, or best people to fill the 2 vacant positions we have coming forward. They'll be here tonight for hopefully your approval. The police department is currently looking at filling the vacant lieutenant's position. We've got candidates submitting their documents lastly today. To add on to what Councilman Burkhart was saying, the dog control is obviously a work in progress. Had a meeting with Officer Major and a representative from the State Ag and Markets this past week to kind of go over some stuff with myself, Lieutenant Greco, and the rest of the dog control team. Eric has put together a very good start to a policy and procedure manual for that department, and we foresee things moving forward to be at a very positive direction at this point.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm not going to have time to go through all the resolutions. Any resolutions stand out that anybody want? I mean, I know we have a couple suspended that are on here. Anything stand out for anybody? You all good? Okay. We've got a long meeting ahead of us. We'll wait till 7 o'clock to make the announcements on all the details. So we'll give everybody a few-minute break here. I know you guys had meetings beforehand, so probably appreciate a few-minute break. Yeah, of course. But we can meet at 7.
Sorry about that. I wasn't sure I was going to sponsor that, so. That's right, I don't go to know. And ask for a resolution on Friday, adding the agenda. and you've had 6 months to vote for it. I told Jill Ackerman no, I told Mark no, and then you all said to put it on, so I didn't know that I needed
Tom, I keep forgetting, next meeting, we have to get a resolution on RV. We passed that, or we had all the public hearing for that, we just never went forward with the RV.
Yeah, you're right, and
I keep forgetting. I just remembered it today.
we just, within the last week,
The secret time
hit
period?
our secret time, so
Okay, so we're still in the change.
we're still fine.
Good. Enjoying summer? Enjoying summer?
You got the check run? Yeah. Check run. I don't know what it is. I don't have it.
Shad, do you have the amount for this?
Yes.
I don't.
Yeah, it came late. You want to know the number, huh? It'd be easier for me to, because there's 2 check runs, so let me make a couple.
Okay, thank you.
Charters are.
Oh, books, yeah.
You know what? I would look at that. I brought my extra water because I don't use water.
Right? I got another one in the fridge upstairs.
You better run.
Oh, back up, a new one?
Well, I guess I went through.
No, you're good. Good, I'll be like,
Well,
I'm almost.
Thank you.
You're open there.
There you go.
We're supposed to do that?
It's not, hey, it's not a big deal. I'm sorry. It is what it is.
You know, for some reason, I was thinking the chicken barbecue at the library was this past summer.
Yeah, I was gonna report on that, so I just filled in for you and.
We're right in there. You're in a rush.
I think it's
12. 12 to Salt.
Call the meeting to order, and would you please do the roll call?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Here.
Councilmember Dickman?
Here.
Councilmember Leary?
Here.
Councilmember Mazer?
Here.
Supervisor Rufino?
Here, the pledge and invocation will be led by Councilmember Mazer.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing.
Heavenly Creator, we invite you to preside over this town board meeting tonight. Even if we have different opinions, give us unity of spirit. Help us to listen politely as others share their points of view. Help us to work together as a unified team for the betterment of Lancaster. May we have a spirit of camaraderie in this room and work together on our shared mission. Amen.
Tonight's meeting will consist of 31 pre-filed resolutions, 2 suspended resolutions, 1 public hearing, 6 executive sessions. We close in memory of the following people: Colin Tytka, Robert Mysick, James Noonan, Edward Mishka, and Stephanie Stelteri. At this point, I'll ask anybody that'd like to speak about any of the 31 pre-filed or two suspended resolutions, please raise your hand. I'll ask for a second time and a third time. Okay, we're going to move on. Any official reports? Any town board committee reports?
I have one, the library committee, I subbed in for Bob on the library committee last Thursday. A lot of different programs going on for the summer, from youth to adult. Check them out, check it out on their website. Also, they have their chicken barbecue this coming Sunday, the 23rd. It's from 12 to 4 or 12 to whenever they sell.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, we're going to break at 7:05 for the public hearing. So we're going to move on to our resolutions. Number one is by myself. I'd like to move resolution number 1. It's resolved the minutes of the regular meeting of town board held June 20th, 2023 being hereby approved. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 2. And this resolved the following audit claims being hereby ordered paid from the respective accounts as per abstract to be filed in the office of town clerk by the supervisor's office. It's check run numbers 0628-2023 and check run number 07172023. Total amount hereby authorized to be paid is $919,302.33. May I get a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Mazur, number 3, please.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, honorable board, I offer the following resolution to move for its adoption. Be it resolved that the following building permit applications are hereby reaffirmed. There's quite a few because we had missed a week. I didn't get the final report back from the building department, but it will be available. Now therefore it be it resolved that the building permit applications here encoded CSW for conditional sidewalk waiver being hereby reaffirmed with a waiver of the town ordinance required for sidewalks. However, the waiver is granted upon the express condition that the town of Lancaster at any future date reserves the right to order sidewalk installation at the expense of the property owner.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. We're going to break for our public hearing. Have a motion to open the public hearing.
A motion to open the public hearing?
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, I'll read the legal notice. Legal notice hereby given that pursuant to the authority set forth in Chapter 400 zoning, Article 14, Administration and Enforcement, 400-78 special use permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster on the 20th day of June, 2023. Town Board will hold a public hearing on the 17th day of July, 2023 at 7:05 p.m. Local time here at Town Hall for the purpose of considering and possibly approving a special use permit application for telecommunications tower co-location by Centerline Communications with American Tower LLC on behalf of T-Mobile, doing business as T-Mobile on the current tower located at 6495 Transit Road, Hamlet of Bowmansville, Town of Lancaster, New York. Copies of the proposed application can be reviewed at Lancaster Town Hall, 21 Central Avenue. At this point, I'll ask if anybody would like to speak about the public hearing. I'll ask a second time and a third time. I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the hearing?
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Excuse me, motion carried.
Okay, then we're going to move on to back to our resolutions. And the fourth resolution is from myself. I'd like to move resolution number 4. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby approves the purchase of one body solid EXM 4000S 3-4 stack commercial gym and body solid LP 40S commercial leg press from G&G Fitness Equipment at 7350 Transit Road in Williamsville, in the amount not to exceed $10,490 per the proposal dated May 23rd, 2023, and which will be paid for with funds provided by grants through Erie County Legislature Republican Caucus, having been sponsored by Legislator Frank J. Todaro, amount of $10,000, with any remaining balance being paid by the Town of Lancaster Senior Center. Be it further resolved that the town supervisor is hereby authorized to execute any grant documentation required to effectuate acceptance of the funds and purchase as described above. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 5, whereas a project for the purchase of batteries for traffic lights is eligible for funding under New York State multi-modal program administered by the New York State Department of Transportation, whereas the town of Lancaster desires to advance the project by making a commitment of 100% of the cost of work for the project or portions thereof. Now therefore, be it resolved, Town Board of Town of Lancaster hereby approves the above described project, and be it further resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby authorize the Town of Lancaster to pay in the first instance 100% of the cost of the work for the project or portions thereof, and be it further resolved, the sum of $125,000 is hereby appropriated from the unassigned fund balance and made available to cover the cost of participation in the above phase of the project. And be it further resolved that in the event of the cost of the phase exceeds the amount appropriated above, the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster shall convene as soon as possible to appropriate said excess amount immediately upon the notification by supervisor thereof. And be it further resolved, the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster be and is hereby authorized to execute all necessary agreements, certifications, or reimbursements requests for multimodal program funding on behalf of the Town of Lancaster with New York State DOT in connection with the advancement or approval of the project and providing for administration of the project and the municipality's first instant funding of project costs and project costs that are not so eligible. And be it further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution be filed with the New York State Commissioner of Transportation by attaching it to any necessary agreement in connection with the project. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes, and just to point out, this Assemblymember Wallace worked very hard to get these funds for us. What this is going to be able to do for us is it's going to put out, we're responsible for 8 signals. We do have a model program out there right now, and William and Aurora, there's a box out there if anybody's noticed for the last couple of years. So that's the model that's been demonstrated. What basically is this being used for is in the event that we lose power, the signal and anything in that juncture will be switched over to the power box, okay? The safety that's basically brought by these power boxes is unquestionable. Normally, these things go out during storms and things of that nature. Our fire department people are the guys that have to go in the middle of the road during these times. And this will keep them off there because that light will continue to operate properly even though we lose power. And there are signals as far as how long it's going to be up for. You know, if you go out for a few days, obviously you have to have backups and things of that nature. But there is the equipment there to notify us how much power is left in each signal that goes out. So this is a great thing. I know I've been working diligently on this for the last 2+ years. And it's finally, Assemblymember Wallace has finally come through and provided the grant for us. So thank you, thank her all, thank you, the office for us, and thank Monica for, really sticking to this. I know I brought her out to the company for the demonstration and that she was very impressed. So again, that's great news for us. Councilmember Mazur, would you move resolution number 6, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, offer the following resolution, move for its adoption. Whereas Bruce Stutz, Park Crew Chief of the Town of Lancaster's Park and Recreation Forestry Department, has notified the board there are numerous dead ash trees on town property adjacent to 14 Wildwood Drive, Lancaster. And whereas the tree removal maintenance work is available through the Erie County Division of Purchase, bid number 219045-004, section E614, by authorized provider Mays Tree Service Incorporated, P.O. Box 40, Lancaster, New York, which eliminates the need for competitive bidding pursuant to Section 103 of General Municipal Law. And whereas the cost of tree removal will not exceed $2,500, and funding for the tree removal is available from the town's professional services forestry account number 01-8510-0451. Now therefore it be resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby authorizes Erie County bid provider Mace Tree Service, Lancaster, New York, to remove various dead ash trees located on the property adjacent to 14 Wildwood Drive, town of Lancaster, at a cost not to exceed $2,500 and to be paid for with funds in the town's professional services forestry account number 01-8510-0451.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 7. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board of town of Lancaster hereby grants the music room permission to use the Youth Bureau's band shell located at 100 Oxford Avenue for special performance on August 5th from 5:30 to 9 p.m. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 8, whereas Bruce Stutz, Park Crew Chief, Recreation Forestry Department, Town of Lancaster, by letter dated June 28, 2023, has recommended the appointment of the following individuals, the following part-time temporary seasonal positions. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the following individuals are hereby appointed to the following part-time temporary seasonal positions in the Parks, Recreation Forestry Department for a period not to exceed 5 months, and that these being part-time positions provide no health insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time employees. Mainly, you have a group of lifeguards, rec attendants, and a laborer. Be it further resolved that the supervisor of the town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 9, whereas John Palano, Highway Superintendent of the town of Lancaster, by letter dated June 26, 2023, has appointed Brian Stanek of Lancaster, New York, who previously held the title of laborer to the position of light equipment operator. Now therefore, be it resolved, the town board of town of Lancaster hereby recognizes the appointment of Brian Stanek to this position of light equipment operator in the town of Lancaster's Highway Department, effective July 3rd, 2023, contingent upon approval by Erie County Department of Personnel, and that such appointments shall be subject to all applicable provisions of the collective negotiations agreement between the town of Lancaster and the CSEA Blue Collar Union and all applicable provisions of law. Be it further resolved that the supervisor of the town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes, Councilmember Leary, numbers 10 and 11, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor and honorable town board members, I move the following resolutions for adoption. Number 10, whereas the town board desires to pursue funding opportunities for improvements to the Lancaster Historical Society Museum located at 40 Clark Street in Lancaster, whereas the town board desires to provide these improvements to residents at the lowest possible cost of the town and town taxpayers, and whereas the town of Lancaster and the Lancaster Historical Society wish to collaborate with each other to make the best application possible for funds available through the New York Forward Grant Program. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the supervisor of the town of Lancaster is hereby authorized and directed to execute any documentation required to make joint application with the Lancaster Historic Society to the New York Forward Program for improvements as may be described in the application.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
And I now offer resolution number 11. Whereas the town board desires to pursue funding opportunities for improvements to the Lancaster Opera House located in Lancaster Town Hall, and whereas the town board desires to provide these improvements to residents at the lowest possible cost to the town and town taxpayers, and whereas the town of Lancaster and the Lancaster Opera House wish to collaborate with each other to make the best application possible for funds available through the New York Forward Grant Program, now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor of the town of Lancaster is hereby authorized and directed to execute any documentation required to make joint application with the Lancaster Opera House to the New York Forward Program for improvements as may be described in the application.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move verse number 12. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby grants the Lancaster Youth Foundation permission to use the Youth Bureau lawn and parking lot located at 200 Oxford Avenue for Chevetta's Chicken Barbecue fundraiser, which will be held on July 31st, 2023 from 12:30 to 6:30. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Leary, number 13 and 14, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor, honorable town board members, I move the following resolutions for adoption. Number 13, whereas retention ponds in the county of Erie, state of New York, are located on property known as tax map numbers 93.00-2-33.11, owned by Mark Morano Equity Corporation, 93.16-421, owned by Justin Raybeck, 9316-4-22, owned by Jordan Ladowski, 93.16-423, owned by Daniel Niles, 93.16-4-24, owned by Ronald Farrer, 9316-4-25, owned by Douglas Radka, 9316-426, owned by David Luadet, 9316-4-27, owned by William Hamilton, 93-16-4-28, owned by Daryl Guys, and 9316-3-39, owned by Courtyards at Pleasant Meadows, 93.16-4-31, owned by Matthew Stikowicz.
Stahoviak.
Thank you. 93.16-4-32, owned by Anthony Carroll. 93.16-433, owned by Rick Stefano. 93.16-4-34, owned by Michael O'Neill. 93.16-4-35, owned by Brian Mock. The Sterling Ponds, and whereas Sterling Ponds have been in a condition of disrepair for an extended period of time in violation of Lancaster Town Code, and whereas the Town of Lancaster Building Department has served notices of violation and orders to remedy upon all owners of Sterling Ponds, and whereas no sufficient corrective actions or remedial measures have been taken, and Sterling Ponds remains in violation of applicable town codes such that a hazardous condition exists, and whereas it appears necessary to initiate a legal action, including but not limited to code enforcement action and or other appropriate legal claims and remedies, now therefore be it resolved by the town board that based upon the town board's thorough and careful review of the facts and circumstances concerning Sterling Ponds, the town board hereby retains and authorizes Hodgkin Russ LLP to engage in and initiate legal action, including but not limited to code enforcement actions and or any other appropriate legal action, claims, and remedies against the Sterling Ponds owners and any surrounding property owners who are either responsible for or who benefit from Sterling Ponds.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
I move resolution number 14 for adoption. Whereas Josella Enterprises Incorporated, Burke Brothers Construction Incorporated, and Belper Enterprises Incorporated are the owners of record of certain real properties located at 00 Sugarbush Lane, 0 Rue Madeline Way, and 00 St. Anthony Street in the County of Erie, State of New York, known as tax map numbers 126.100-1-52, 126.080-3-34, and 105-170-1-15, respectively, the properties. And whereas, although located in a residential area, the properties were created in furtherance of and are part of commercial ventures by now defunct developer entities and continue to serve a commercial purpose of stormwater retention for surrounding infrastructure. And whereas the properties are vacant and not maintained, sealed, or continuously guarded, And whereas real property taxes on the properties have been due and unpaid for a period in excess of 1 year, and whereas the properties are in a state of disrepair in violation of applicable laws and ordinances and has the potential to injure or endanger the health and safety of others or unreasonably annoy others, and whereas the property's state of disrepair has been continuously outstanding and not remediated for a period in excess of 1 year following such notices, and whereas the town board is fully familiar with the properties in the surrounding areas, now therefore be it resolved by the town board that based upon the town board's thorough and careful review of the facts and circumstances concerning the properties, the town board hereby determines that the properties are commercial in nature and certifies they are abandoned. Reasons supporting the certification of abandonment: the properties are commercial in nature by virtue of being created as part of and in furtherance of commercial ventures and are utilized for stormwater facilities, thereby serving commercial purposes. The properties are vacant and not sealed or continuously guarded, nor are they maintained. Each of the properties is tax delinquent for a period of more than 1 year. Notice of the certification of abandonment shall be filed to the extent required by the RPAPL and may be deemed advisable by the town board, and as may be deemed advisable by the town board. And be it further resolved that the town board is authorized and directed to affix the properties in prominent and conspicuous locations on the properties a notice that the real property has been found to be abandoned, and that it is a crime to take, remove, or otherwise damage any fixture or part of the property or any building or structure located thereon in accordance with New York Real Property Actions or Proceedings Law, Section 1981, and be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the law firm of Hodgkin Russ LLP to initiate proceedings to acquire the abandoned properties and for any litigation or disputes related thereto.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move verse number 15, whereas the town of Lancaster is engaged Lawley Agency LLC to oversee and implement the town's comprehensive insurance needs. Whereas Lawley Agency LLC has notified the town that the policy renewal required and has provided its comparisons of available insurance products with cost. Whereas Lawley Agency LLC recommends approval of insurance carriers and coverage for the period of July 19, 2023 through July 19, 2024 in the amount of $473,946.62. Now therefore be resolved, the town board hereby approves renewal of insurance coverage for the town of Lancaster as presented in the amount of $473,946.62. And be it further resolved, the supervisor is authorized and directed to execute such agreements and contracts as may be required to effectuate this renewal. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question. On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Burke, number 16, please.
Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I'm offering Resolution 16 for adoption. Whereas Bruce Stutz, Park Chief for the Town of Lancaster, has notified the Town Board that the parking lot at the Lancaster Police Department is in need of being sealed and restriped. And whereas the Park Crew Chief Stutz solicited proposals for this project in accordance with the town's procurement policy and received 2 estimates. And whereas by letter dated July 6, 2023, Park Crew Chief Stutz has recommended that the town of Lancaster award the project for sealing and restriping the Lancaster Police Department parking lot to Thoman Asphalt Paving Corp., 56 Gunville Road, Lancaster, New York, in an amount not to exceed $9,282.50, per its quote dated June 1st, 2023, and whereas funding for the parking lot improvement is available from the Building Resurfacing Materials Account 01-1620-0433. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby approves the expenditure of funds to Thoman Asphalt Paving Corporation in the amount not to exceed $9,282.50 per its quote dated June 1st, 2023.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 17, whereas the town of Lancaster is replacing existing water mains on Bowen Road from William Street to Brunk Road and Genesee Street from Harris Hill to house number 5423 under contract TLN 13, and whereas existing hydrant spacing within the project limits does not conform to current Erie County Water Authority specifications, and 3 additional hydrants are required to be installed on Bowen Road, and 1 additional hydrant is required on Genesee Street, provide for proper fire protection. Now therefore be resolved, the town of Lancaster shall be responsible for payment of annual hydrant rental charges to the ECWA for 4 leased managed additional hydrants being installed under these projects, which charges shall be funded by the respective hydrant district. Be it further resolved, the town clerk is directed to forward a certified copy of this resolution to Michael Quinn, EE, Erie County Water Authority. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 18. Now therefore be resolved, the town board of town of Lancaster hereby awards the bid to Camco General Contractor, Inc., 10994 Tinkman Road in Darien for various site additions consisting of the installation of an asphalt pickleball court, a gazebo, a concrete sidewalks at 100 Oxford Avenue, with the specifications on file in the amount of $415,800, which will be funded by the account number 90230.400. And be it further resolved, supervisors hereby authorized to execute contracts on behalf of the town of Lancaster and do all things necessary to effectuate the intent of this resolution, pending the receipt and approval of all required documents and insurance certificates by the town attorney. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 19, whereas Camco General Contracting, Contracting Inc., the contractor for site additions, including the furnishings and installation of a 30 by 52 pre-engineered gazebo at the Town of Lancaster Senior Center at 100 Oxford Avenue, has submitted change order 1 in the amount of $80,000 to town board for their approval. Now therefore be it resolved that town board of the Town of Lancaster hereby approves change order number 1 to Camco General Contracting as listed below. The change order is a substitution of the work specified under bid item 3A, furnished and installed 30 by 52 pre-engineered gazebo to furnish and install a 30 by 50 site-built structure with the same features as the design product. Reason for change, it was determined that the site-built structure will provide substantial savings to town without any substitution in quality or provided features. So, may I get a second?
Second.
Oh, sorry. Be it further resolved that supervisor be and is hereby authorized to execute this change order on behalf of the town of Lancaster. Now may I get a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
So, you know, it's an $80,000 decrease.
So the decrease is $80,000 in that. That was the,
Yeah.
yeah.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Burkhart, would you move number 20, please?
Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I'm offering Resolution 20 for adoption, whereas Heritage Contract Flooring, 29 Depot Street, Buffalo, New York, the contractor to replace the flooring at the Town of Lancaster Highway Department has submitted change order number 1 in the amount of $1,623.72 to be taken from the account number 01-1620-260 to the Town Board for their approval based on the description of work previously provided to the Town Board. Now therefore it be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby approves change order number 1 to Heritage Contracting Flooring with respect to the as outlined descriptions provided to the Town Board. Description change order number 1. Additional compensation for the purchase of LVT flooring for Town of Lancaster Highway Department. Change order number 1. The original contract sum was $3,975. the contract sum will be increased by this change order in the amount of $1,623.72. The new contract sum increased, including this change order, will be $5,598.72. Be it further resolved that the supervisor B is hereby authorized to execute this change order on behalf of the town of Lancaster.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 21, whereas John Torgenos, Executive Director of the Youth Bureau of the Town of Lancaster, by letter dated July 6, 2023, has recommended the appointment of the following individuals to the following part-time temporary seasonal position. It's Pamela Chulokian, a tutor, at $17 an hour. And now therefore be it resolved that the following individual are hereby appointed to the following part-time temporary seasonal position to the Youth Bureau for a period not to exceed 5 months, that these being part-time positions provide no health insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time temporary employees. Be it further resolved, Supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Dickman, number 22 and 23, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Board. I offer resolutions 22 and 23 for adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster has held a public hearing on August 5, 2019 upon the application of James E. Miller, Jr. on behalf of Miller & Son Collision LLC for a special use permit to operate an automobile service and collision repair business with the addition of classic and muscle car restorations on the premise located at 110 Cemetery Road in the Town of Lancaster, and the Town Board issued a special use permit on August 19, 2019 for a 2-year period. Whereas by letter dated June 29, 2023, James Miller Jr., owner-manager of Miller & Son Collision LLC, is requested that the Town Board renew the special use permit for an additional 2-year term. And whereas by letter dated July 11, 2023, Matt Fishione, Court Enforcement Officer, has recommended the renewal of the special use permit. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster does hereby grant the special use permit to James Miller Jr. on behalf of Miller & Son Collision LLC to operate the automobile service and repair business on the premise located at 110 Cemetery Road, the Town of Lancaster, upon conditions set forth in the zoning ordinance and following conditions for the period beginning July 19, 2023 and ending July 18, 2025. And this has the same original six conditions. Excuse me.
Make it a second.
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster has held a public hearing upon the application of Jennifer Katita for the special use permit for a home occupation of hair salon on the premise of 510 Town Line Road, Lancaster, New York, and the board issued the special use permit on July 20th, 2015, and the special use permit being subject to renewal upon application by the property owner. And whereas per its terms and conditions, the special use permit is currently up for renewal. And whereas by letter dated June 27, 2023, Jennifer Katita has requested the Town Board renew the special use permit for an additional 2-year term. Whereas the supervising code enforcement officer has recommended approval of the special use permit renewal per his letter dated July 11, 2023. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster does hereby grant the special use permit renewal to Jennifer Katita for the special use permit of home occupation hair salon on the premise located at 510 Town Line Road, Lancaster, New York, upon the terms and conditions as set forth in the zoning ordinance for the period beginning July 20th, 2023 and ending July 19th, 2025, and that the applicant will continue in compliance with the conditions as set forth in home occupations and special use permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster and do any additional conditions listed herein if the applicant continues to engage in this home occupation on the premise, namely, and again, this has the 6 original conditions.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Burkhart, number 24, please.
Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I am offering Resolution 24 for adoption, whereas Mercedes-Benz of Buffalo the contractor to provide a 2023 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van model number 2023 MXCAEX, either all-wheel or four-wheel, to the Lancaster Police Department, has submitted change order number 1 in the amount of $4,367 to the town board for its approval, an increase in cost for the purchase of the vehicle as specified previously. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby approves change order number 1 to Mercedes-Benz Buffalo with respect to the outline descriptions provided to the town board. Description of change order number 1. The 2023 Mercedes van that was ordered as replacement is now out of service permanently. There is an additional increase in cost for the 2024 model.
May I have a second?
So wait, shouldn't the top, to provide a 2024 at the top?
That's just telling you that originally it was a 2023.
Oh, original,
The reason
okay.
for the change is that they can't provide it.
Okay. So change order number 1, original contract sum was $78,921.50. Contract sum increased by this change order in the amount of $4,367. The new contract sum increased, including this change order, will be $83,288.50. Be it further resolved that the supervisor be and is hereby authorized to execute this change order on behalf of the town of Lancaster.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question. On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Dickman, number 25, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board. I offer Resolution 25 for adoption. Whereas Knox Amusement, AMF Bowling Centers, Lancaster Lanes, has applied for a license to operate and maintain a game room on the premise located at 4913 Transit Road in the town of Lancaster pursuant to Chapter 78 of the Code of the town of Lancaster. And whereas the application was referred to the building inspector and police chief for review and recommendation, and whereas the building inspector and police chief have completed their review and made a formal, favorable recommendation to the town board on the issuance of this license. Now therefore be it resolved that the town clerk be and is hereby authorized to issue a license to Knox Amusement to operate and maintain a game room on the premise at 4913 Transit Road, Lancaster, with the following conditions. The applications for renewal of license shall be submitted with at least 30 days before the expiration of the existing license to the town clerk, who shall forward the same to the building inspector and police chief for the review and comment. A copy of the entity business certificate is submitted to the town clerk's office. The occupant load of the smaller game room is 16 people. 2 units are located in the vestibule, 2 pool tables, air hockey shuffleboard located at the bar area. And be it further resolved that said license shall be issued for the 1-year period of July 17th, 2023 to August 16th, 2023, in accordance to the application of the petitioners filed in the town clerk's office, accompanied with license fee of $900 for 13 amusement devices.
May I have a second?
Just let me add, that's supposed to be 2024.
24, yeah.
Oh,
I think that should.
I'll second it.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 26, whereas John Trojanowski, Executive Director of the Youth Bureau of the Town of Lancaster, by letter dated June 27, 2023, has recommended the appointments of the following individuals to the following part-time temporary seasonal positions. Now therefore be it resolved, the following individuals are hereby appointed on the following part-time temporary seasonal positions to the Youth Bureau for a period not to exceed 5 months, and that these being part-time positions provide no health insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time employees. And there are 3 tutors. Be it further resolved that the supervisor of the town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 27, whereas John Trojanowski, Executive Director of the Youth Bureau of the Town of Lancaster, by letter dated June 27, 2023, has requested an adjustment to the rate of pay for the following part-time permanent employee. The current rate of pay was $14.20. The pay rate per hour is going to $16. Now therefore be it resolved, the following individual hereby given the adjustments to the rate of pay as follows, effective June 26, 2023. Be it further resolved, the supervisor of the town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Leary, number 28, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor and honorable town board members, I move Resolution 28 for adoption. Whereas Mary Beth Gianni, Recreation Supervisor from the Lancaster Senior Center of the town of Lancaster, by letter dated July 10, 2023, has recommended the appointment of Samantha Greco to the position of Recreation Leader in the town of Lancaster Senior Center. And whereas Samantha Greco is eligible for appointment to this position pursuant to the standards and procedures as set forth in the civil service law, now therefore be it resolved that Samantha Greco of Lancaster be and is hereby appointed to the full-time provisional position of Recreation Leader in the town of Lancaster Senior Center effective August 1st, 2023, continued upon approval by Erie County Department of Personnel, and that such appointment shall be subject to all applicable provisions of the collective negotiations agreement between the town of Lancaster and the CSEA White Collar Union and all applicable provisions of law. Be it further resolved that the supervisor of the town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing.
Can I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move on to number 29, whereas John Plato, Highway Superintendent of the town of Lancaster, by letter dated May 20th, 2023, has recommended the appointment of the following individual to the following part-time temporary seasonal position.
Can we back up for 1 second, sir? Samantha is here in the audience, so I just wanted to point her out. Congratulations. Thank you.
Now therefore be it resolved, the following individual hereby appointed in the following part-time temporary seasonal position in the Highway Department for a period not to exceed 5 months, and that these being part-time positions provide no health insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time employees. It's Jack Harrington, a laborer at $15 an hour, effective date is June 19, 2023. Be it further resolved, the supervisor of the town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 30, whereas William Gumble, Chief of Police of the town of Lancaster, by letter dated the town board dated July 12, 2023, has recommended the appointment of James Jaworski of Lancaster to the position of police officer, and where James is eligible for appointment to this position pursuant to the standards and procedures as set forth in the Civil Law Service. Now therefore be it resolved that James Jaworski is hereby appointed to the position of police officer in the town of Lancaster Police Department effective July 31st, 2023, contingent upon approval by Erie County Department of Personnel, and that such appointment shall be subject to all applicable provisions of the collective negotiation agreement between the town of Lancaster and the Cuba Club Police Medical Aid Association and applicable provisions of law. And be it further resolved, the supervisor of the town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. We have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. And Chief, is James here? James, welcome to the force. It's great to see the support of the fellow officers here. You're in great hands here. Look forward to seeing you on the street.
Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Leary, number 31, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor and honorable town board members, I move Resolution 31 for adoption. Whereas Robert Leary, town council member of the town of Lancaster, has recommended the appointment of David Christopher Zelak as a member of the town of Lancaster Zoning Board of Appeals. Now therefore be it resolved that David Christopher Zelak, Lancaster, New York, be and is hereby appointed member of the town of Lancaster Zoning Board of Appeals, filling the vacancy created upon the departure of member Anthony Stella for a term which concludes December 31st, 2026, and be it further resolved that the supervisor of the town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing.
May I have a second?
Second.
Sorry.
Is it spelled? So it's spelled Castellano. Castellano.
So with that amendment, may I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Okay, we need a motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend?
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
Hold on. Are we doing number 32 first?
32.
Okay, so you asked.
I did.
Okay. And Councilmember Leary seconded it?
No,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
he was the first. Adam, did you second it? Yeah.
Okay.
Councilmember
Councilmember
Leary?
Burkhart.
Mr. Supervisor and Honorable.
You need a vote,
Yes.
vote to
I thought
open.
you did.
Yes.
I got you. Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Councilmember Burkhart, you will be moving resolution number 32.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I'm offering Resolution 32 for adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster has reviewed memorandums of agreement which have been reached between the negotiating teams representing the Town of Lancaster and the collective bargaining unit of the Civil Service Employees Association, Inc., Local 1000, AFS-CME, AFL-CIO, Town of Lancaster, Blue Collar Unit, Local 815-6763. And whereas the Civil Service Employees membership have heretofore ratified the memorandums of agreement, and whereas after due review and consideration, the Town Board deems it in the public interest to ratify the memorandums of agreement, which will be incorporated into a 4-year contract between the Town of Lancaster and the Civil Service Employees. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Lancaster hereby adopts and ratifies the memorandums of agreement as negotiated with the before mentioned civil service employees, which will be incorporated into a 4-year contract between the Town of Lancaster and the CSEA Local 1000, Town of Lancaster Blue Collar Unit Local 815-6763, and the Town Board further authorizes and directs the Supervisor of the Town of Lancaster to execute the full contract when prepared.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
No. I'd like to move number 33, whereas William Gummel, Chief of Police of the Town of Lancaster, by letter dated to the Town Board July 12, 2023, has recommended the appointment of Marissa Wignall of Lancaster, New York, to the position of police officer, and whereas Marissa Wignall is eligible for temporary appointment to this position pursuant to the standards and procedures as set forth in the civil service law, and pending the medical being approved by Erie County. Now therefore be it resolved that Marissa is hereby appointed to the position of police officer in the Town of Lancaster Police Department effective July 31st, 2023, contingent upon approval by Erie County Department of Personnel, and that such appointment shall be subject to all applicable provisions of the collective negotiations agreement between the Town of Lancaster and the Cuba Club Police Benevolent Association and all applicable provisions of law. Be it further resolved is that the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary actions to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question. On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes, and Marissa, are you here with us? Congratulations. Again, great to see the presence here. Be safe. You're in great hands with these folks. Okay, I think that takes care of all the resolutions. Are you ready for communications? We're going to move on to our communications. Number 355 is the town attorney. 356 through 360, received and filed. 361 through 363, planning committee. 364 through 367, received and filed. 368 through 371, resolution tonight. 372 through 375, received and filed. 376 and 377, a resolution tonight. 378, received and filed. 379 and 380, resolution tonight. 381 through 383, received and filed. 384, resolution tonight. 385, received and filed. 386 through 388, Planning Committee. 389 through 391, resolution tonight. 392, received and filed. 393 through 397, resolution tonight. And 398, received and filed. At this point, anybody could talk about any comment, give comments on anything they'd like. Just raise your hand. You have 5 minutes to address your subject. Yes, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, this will be quick.
Please state your name and address.
Yes, sir. David.
At the microphone.
Sorry.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you for your time. David Ludit, 52 Sterling Place. It's about the Resolution 13. I'm coming here I just need help with the pond. I've reached out to the code enforcement officer and the building department numerous times. I have them all documented. I don't want to get into it, but I just need your help because every time that this comes up, it's just another headache. So my main concern is basically the town is now suing us, or is acquiring representation to sue us to have this fixed. When initially, based on the town code, I went through the handbook and or through the enforcement code and printed the actual code itself. Section 400-73, it speaks about how there needed to be a maintenance plan in place before we signed our deed. There's nothing on the deed about this maintenance plan. And then there's another section in here, 400-71, that talks about a contractor certification. To this point, myself, I've never received any type of certification from Morano or from the town regarding construction of our property. So my thing is, you're suing us or me, rather, I'm going to speak on my behalf, you're suing me to have this issue resolved that wasn't our doing. This should have been in place before I signed on the dotted line when I bought my home on December 13th or 20th, 2010. So I don't know. I just need your help. Like, where do we go from this point? Because basically, I'm being told I'm being sued. I don't want to be sued. I don't know what to do at this point. So I'm just asking for help.
Give me a call, Lauren.
I know, Mr. Fowler, I appreciate your position, and I appreciate that, sir. However, we've been at this since September of 2021, and we've got no resolution, and I don't know. I just want to get it resolved. But based on the language in the code, it's not our problem. Basically, it's telling me that the town should be suing itself. That's all I have to say. I thank you for your time. I appreciate it. If there's anything I can do to help remedy the situation, I'll speak to you in the morning, sir. I'm just stuck. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. You also. Anybody else like to speak?
Greg Soika, 19 Spruceland Terrace. I'd like to congratulate the board on affirming the contract for the highway department workers. My questions were the blue collar contract. Can you just give me a brief description of what's in it? And the other question was, why did Supervisor Rufino vote no on it? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? Yes, sir?
Good evening, Supervisor Rufino and the Town Board. My name is Dean Anthony. I'm from the town of West Seneca, and I'm a volunteer for the New York Citizens Audit Group. Our group was formed shortly after the 2020 election, and through FOIL requests, public information from the New York State Board of Elections, voter rolls, county voter rolls. Not all counties supplied us with our requests, and the New York Secretary of State. Our group has done a audit of the available data through public information, and what our group has discovered is some serious violations of law for the 2020 election. Since then, our group has about 2,000 volunteers across the state. We have volunteers in each county. In the spring, throughout the state, we tried to bring some of this information to county officials, legislatures, sheriffs, district attorneys, the state attorney general, Letitia James, and many others, trying to get a redress of grievances of some of these violations. And we were pretty much ignored. So our tactics as a state team of volunteers, we're all volunteers, none of us are paid, was to work at the grassroots level to approach different towns throughout New York State, present our evidence, and then ask for a resolution to be passed for an end-to-end audit of the 2022 election. Now, because our reference material was based on the 2020 election, and we made quite a bit of effort to get things changed before the 2022 election, nothing was really changed. So that's why we are now asking for this end-to-end audit of the 2022 election. And with your permission, I would like to pass out some of our data sheets to the audience and to the board, and then I would gratefully ask you to sign a resolution which I have in hand that is customized for the town of Lancaster with all council members and supervisors' names to pass yes or no a resolution for an end-to-end audit of the 2022 election. Can we pass out this information?
Yes, give it to the clerk and our attorney.
Thank you.
I mean, you do have more time if you want to explain more of what.
I'd be glad to go over some of the highlights of our audit. I understand that we're under a 5-minute limitation, so my initial presentation was not going to include that, but if you'd like to answer, have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
You have questions?
It just I guess, what did you find within the system?
I will do a quick review of some of our findings. And this, again, is all through public information, FOIL requests. We have a team of volunteers who make these requests, and these findings are based on the 2020 election. In New York State, we all have a county ID number, and we have one state voting number, the State Board of Elections ID number. That's like a Social Security number that you carry for life and you vote with for life. Whereas you may have multiple county ID numbers. If you change addresses and move from county to county, you would develop additional county ID numbers, but only to ever have one state number. It's the one you vote with for your entire life. So our findings include 2,427,000 New York State ID numbers attached to 1,170,000 registrations. What that means, there is an excess of state voter ID numbers that we vote with. There are 987,000 voters registered on January 1st from 1900 to 2021. That seems a bit strange because most offices are closed on January 1st. Some of the answers that we got from the Board of Elections were that was a default date that was in place before 1967 when they changed the records to electronic, but that doesn't come close to answering all of those registrations from January 1st, from 1900 to now, 2021. We have 1.9 million registrations in the state voter rolls that are missing from the county voter rolls.
You get the 5, sorry. 5 minute.
Okay, very good. So I have a copy of the resolution. I'd like to pass it out and request that the board sign. That each member of the board is customized and on here. And I would gratefully ask that the board pass the resolution or make a motion to sign the resolution for an end-to-end audit.
Thanks for your time. Anybody else like to speak?
How many copies you got?
Yes?
Scan it.
Together or?
Together, yes. Hi, thank you for your time. My name is Laura Stoyanovsky, and I reside at 1 Anne Marie Drive. Sorry.
Angela Filipski, I reside at 3 Anne Marie Drive.
I'm sorry, you're,
Angela Filipski, reside at 3 Anne Marie Drive, 3.
So we're here just with some concerns. We've had some recent issues in our neighborhood with excessive campers and trailers, and I know that there are other things that have come to your attention with people wanting to park their campers different places. We are not camper owners. I happen to live on the first house past a corner lot, and the Craig Blanchard, the building inspector, has been, over there checking back and forth. The camper has now been moved to within 5 feet of the rear property line of their property, which puts it 10 to 12 feet from the front landscaping in my home. So my question is, at what point are the aesthetics of my property considered when enforcing their building code? It has to be 35 feet from a front yard, which I understand, and because they're on a corner lot, they have 2 front yards essentially, is what was explained to us. But when they went through the survey and figured out where 5 feet from the rear property line is and 35 feet in, it is literally next to my landscaping in the front of my home. So my view when I pull into my house is the back end of campers right next to my landscaping. So my first inclination was to talk to the homeowner, who has informed me that he's now moving in with, well, it's not the homeowner, a gentleman is moving in with the homeowner and bringing all of his things from his 5 acres of land in Bliss. But he was putting it all on this property in the subdivision in Lancaster. And I just ask you to think about, if it was your home, how you would feel about the aesthetics being affected by somebody's camper. I don't have a personal issue with the homeowner or the gentleman moving in. I have an issue with the code that makes it okay, not okay to be in their front yard, but okay to be in mine. And I don't own that piece of it, that vehicle. Things have been kind of going downhill as far as people taking care of their yards in the neighborhood as it is. There's just a lot of things behind people's sheds. And from my home, I can see 3 campers from my backyard. And there's a definite view of some things I don't want to look at behind people's yards. The home directly behind me is currently unoccupied and not taken care of. And I know that that's been called about many times with the building inspector as well. The lawn's not mowed. They have mounds of wood chips that now have grass growing on them like mountains in the back because they were never taken care of after trees were taken down. So Angela has done a little bit more research on that aspect, but I'll give you a couple of pictures from my home as well.
Yes, to reiterate, we're just trying to address the zoning code and these RVs or recreational vehicles on our properties. Right now, there are a couple points, I believe, in the zoning code, and it states it should not be parked or stored within 5 feet of any side lot. We did send pictures around. As you can see, 5 feet right up is very close to your home. So, of course, we're going to be asking, our request is increasing that to 5 feet. The other code or point in the code, as it states now, is if it's stored or parked, height exceeds 8 feet, the vehicle shall be parked or stored in the rear yard or housed in a completely enclosed building. Of course, with visual aesthetics, those pictures in my yard, this is what I see. I feel like I'm in a campground. So how do we correct this? Well, maybe increase the footage of the side would be a recommendation. Another recommendation would be the vehicle shall be parked or stored in the rear yard if reasonably screened. And screening can be if they reasonably screen from adjoining properties as provided with herein. Screening shall be maybe 75%, be a minimum of 6 feet, upgrade and not exceed 8 feet. Basically, berming, landscaping, solid fencing, something.
I'd like to add that I had a fencing company come out, and the estimate for me to fence that area, which isn't exactly legal because I'd have to go 8 feet in front of my home in order to block it, is $3,125. I just don't know how that's my responsibility. That's not my camper. And in order to regain the aesthetics of the front of my home, I have to spend $3,000. Doesn't seem, I'm a teacher aide in the Lancaster School District. That's a big chunk of change, you know, to correct something that somebody else is doing. I also had one other thing that I forgot to mention, Angela. The only access to his camper is backing over the sidewalk. There is no access through his driveway. It is backing over the sidewalk. And one of your codes says, hang on, I have it here. I just would like clarification on it. It's code, it says 310-17, no person, firm, or corporation shall drive, ride, or leave any vehicle as defined in the vehicle and traffic law upon any portion of any sidewalk except crossing the same for the purpose of entering or leaving any premises. Like I said, every time he backs up, this is where his truck is. Like
Sorry, time's up.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. For both? We don't have to get 10 minutes?
I gave you 3 pieces.
Perfect. Is that the next step? Can I ask, is that the next step? Would this ever be addressed as far as our complaint? Like, what's the next step?
We've been both lived here more than 20 years, we've never done this, so we have
Yes,
no idea.
so we're not sure of the process. Like, what comes of, what's the next step after somebody approaches you about a grievance?
Have you complained to the code enforcement officers?
We have.
Any comment?
Yes, we have complaints on file, a series of inspections, re-inspections. All of these are still open. And as this board is aware, the town did a series of public hearings in May, 2 sets of public hearings for the amendment of our recreational vehicle code. I'm understanding that it will be under seeker review Wednesday night at the planning board level for them to make a recommendation. A newly or amended code has yet to be adopted. So we're still enforcing what the old code states. The topic came up after a couple of years of fielding complaints of large campers parked in the driveways, front yards, unsightly. And I'm of the opinion of every resident here that we need to enforce the code, which we have. So we had some residents respond to the complaints brought to this board, brought to the planning board level, and again, we're still in process of amending the existing code. But I do know that these are all still open. They have yet to be closed. We're always seeking voluntary compliance. I do understand the position. Their backyard is your front yard?
Yeah. I just happen to be lucky and be right on the corner and
not being intimately involved with both of these, I can see where there's a little bit of a discrepancy. The one camper is not in a backyard. It's in a technically front yard. And you know, we can address that. So I will work with Craig. I can respond to the board, but until we have a firm code, it's difficult if we're going to enforce the old code or try to enforce a version of the new code.
But even the new code
adopted.
doesn't address what this is here.
Understood.
I've been told it's a
Understood.
unique situation. And like I said, I have no problem
Not
with the
necessarily.
homeowner. It's just, it's a unique.
I don't mean to interrupt, but
No, that's
you know, in addressing the board, not necessarily unique in situation. It's a corner lot. Corner lots have 2 front yards. The setback is very clear. If it's over 8 feet, it needs to be in an enclosed building or in a rear yard. And that's where it needs to be. Below the 8 feet, which I understand is soon to be 13 foot 8, but regardless, if it's on a driveway, there's some setback requirements. A paved surface, 5 feet from a side yard, 10 feet
Yes.
from a front.
There's also
Okay.
a number requirement.
A number
quantity
requirement. You're allowed
Yes.
one.
One, not
Yes.
Correct.
5.
Correct.
Yes. We do have a few that have multiple.
That picture where there's that shed with the stumps behind, is that a compliant issue, or is that a?
I'm going to look at it for proximity to a property line with combustible
Actually-
materials.
That would be a compliant issue as well, because that same gentleman has two, yeah, and I believe there is.
Well, one's a
over the
pull
limit.
trailer, one.
He's over the limit on that end.
Understood.
It's an eyesore. So, when we go, our value of our homes, that's what we're protecting. That's all I have for you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for your time.
Oh, and that camp.
Anybody else like to speak on any subject matter? Second time? Third time? I'm going to ask for motion to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session?
Again, as I stated earlier, we have 6 sessions, 2 under number 1, 3 under number 2, and 1 under number 8. We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Thank you all for coming. Have a great night.
Need a burger?
Yep.